as always, by my brother Keenan. Keenan, how you doing today?
Halliburton's that dude, man. That's how I'm doing. That was a really really good game, and then Monday also was Tuesday also was a really good game too. I was it's been fun so far. It's been fun so far.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a fun week. I've enjoyed it. I've got a lot of thoughts on this tournament. I can't wait to talk about it. Um, but it's been fun, especially the semifinals. I love the atmosphere that Vegas has created so far. I thought we were gonna get a tone down on the courts, but we didn't. But that's
No,
fine. Actually, this
unfortunately.
this court was a little better than some, but I'm loving it so far. I really am. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. What's been your
So,
highlight so far?
so
It's got to be Halliburton, right?
it
Not to
is.
cut you off, but it's got to be
No.
Halliburton so
It's
far.
it's it. There's no other. There shouldn't be, as of right this moment, another bigger one. There's other takeaways for sure, because obviously there's been multiple games, but
Just
he
to paint the
has to be the
picture, just to
biggest.
paint the picture for everybody, not to cut you off here, but we we are recording before the Laker Pelicans game and right after the Milwaukee Bucks losing to the Indiana Pacers. So we're
So
right in
when
between games here. So
when
as of before the second game, second semifinal game, it's got to be Halliburton.
yeah, we haven't seen like what if LeBron puts up 40 or something like that. So this is happening. You guys will know when you see this what the final is. We have no
Mhm.
idea what the final is on the western side. But back to it. So we know that I did my player ranking at the end of the playoffs last year. Tyrese Halliburton single handedly has made me go through and start another one that I'm going to get out by Christmas. Let that alone. So that's kind of watching him. I said 30 and 20 for him. He's dabbled right. He's trying to get there for me. He's really trying to get that 30-20 game right now, and he's doing it with no turnovers either. It's like it's Chris Paul at like even higher, like higher scoring volume. So it's crazy. He's on another level right now. Has to be obviously top 20, has to be right now in top 15. He's playing top 10 basketball. If you would keep him there, obviously, with the whole league, you can't just base it off of this first 20 game sample so forth. But he's clearly playing top 5 basketball in the league right now, of course. Touchdown Zeke. But
There
yeah,
we go. Yeah, we got Keenan's got the Steelers Patriots game on right now. I actually don't. I am avoiding this game at least till after the podcast, just because.
mm,
I mean, hey, we got seven. That's I'm not gonna lie. If you would have told me we didn't score until the second half, I'd believe you, or
if you
at
would have told
all.
me we didn't
But
score,
points,
yeah, I would have believed
yeah,
you. But yeah,
exactly. But I mean, we got to get points at some point. And
yeah, I'm just
hey,
checking into the game real quick while we're here. It's got over on the side on the iPad. The game, if we do happen to run into the time of the start of the Pelicans Lakers, I've got that on the TV behind. We've got a whole. This is Buffalo Wild Wings with the TVs we've got set up here in the podcast room, so we're ready. But yeah, Halliburton's been a dog, and what I was thinking the entire game was this Pacers team doesn't have enough to win a championship, but God, could they give somebody a run? And man, do I wish they had one more player to fit in with the fun. Like that's like I just want one more nice wing to fit in with the fun. It doesn't have to be anyone phenomenal, but obviously if you could get someone phenomenal, like not that you could pull off a trade for this, but obviously this is just playing in around the air. But I think Anthony Edwards would fit that like team style and dynamic perfectly. Obviously, you can't get Anthony. It's Anthony Edwards, but like just that kind of player, I think would fit that team perfect because they're fun. The way they're like T.J. McConnell forced that turnover by campaign. The entire bench is acting as if someone just got dunked on. And I was like, okay, this team's just fun. Like this team's
they
having
are a very fun team.
they're just having a good time playing basketball, and that's all you can ask for a team. So whoever gets them in the playoffs, because I think they're going to be getting there, obviously, but we'll stay short term right now because we don't need to jump that far. They're just going to be a fun team to track. I'll let you go before I have my other points.
Yeah, I believe that they will make the playoffs. I believe just how far they've come in this tournament and how well they're performing. I think Reggie Miller said it like it's a confidence booster.
Oh,
So I believe
absolutely.
they'll at least be a play-in fringe playoff team, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, Halliburton right now is playing top five. Um, I want to apologize. Not that he's going to hear this necessarily, but Adam Silver, he might be a genius. And he might be onto something. I'll allude to that later. But
Okay.
to me, there's method to the madness. To
Yep.
me, there's method to the ugly courts, the ugly jerseys, and it being deliberately called the in-season tournament.
Okay.
Um, I think, I mean, obviously he's marketing to like the next generation and then the general public in general,
Yep.
right? So yeah, he's doing something really flashy. It's like if you were driving down the road and you saw a store or a house that was just had everything lit up, right?
Hmm.
You'd at least stop and say, "What the hell is that?" And I think that's what he's doing here with all this just outwardness,
That's
in your
fair.
faceness. Like,
That's
does that
fair.
make sense here
Yeah, because like I mean, if you're
as a marketer at least?
so right now, obviously people watch hockey, but that's whatever. Like whoever watches hockey is a niche hockey fan. But
Mm,
really, you're competing with college football because obviously right now is the college football playoff time, so like that matters. Not the specific time, but like college football matters right now. And you're competing with the NFL, which is obviously the biggest sport in the United States. So if you're going down in a regular neighborhood and like you have
mm.
like your regular white houses, your gray houses, like your light blue, and then you just see this bright yellow house. You're gonna inquire about that house. You're gonna be like, "Why is that house bright yellow?"
Not even just bright yellow, but it could have like who knows what the hell? Like it just might be like bright lights, like all
Yeah,
kinds of
I was
shit,
just
just
saying, just
everything you
like
could think of on it. That's what
like
this just smacked my
just
lights at.
showing out to such a high extreme to where you have to sit there and not just look like, oh, that's weird. You have to like look at it and like at least inquire, like look up, like why is this house like this?
Because
And then
I think to us, Keenan, as basketball fans, it looks crazy to us to see
yeah,
these weird ass courts with these weird ass jerseys.
yeah. The
But
first time I saw it, I was like, this again, 2K. I'm 12 years old. I'm building a court. I'm
that's
like,
what it looks like.
I think it's cool to have a blue court, but it's but it's really like I'm 26 now. It's not aesthetically pleasing, but what it is it's eye opening and is eye catching. So
But like
I
if you're
get what he's doing.
you're scrolling through and you see that court, you're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
At the least, is you're gonna stop and say, "What the
Yes.
hell is that?" and then make your decision after. Um,
Yes.
I'm interested to hear what other points you have before I go with my larger view on this.
So it's one more Pacers point because they're obviously the team that's most prominent on my mind. The last thing I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Say the Lakers beat the Pelicans, which is very possible, and the Pacers win it all.
Mm-hmm.
They went through Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday, and the Celtics, which is arguably the best team in the East. Then they went by Giannis and Dame, the second best team in the East. And then they went by LeBron and Anthony Davis, arguably a top 3 to 4 team in the West. Right now, obviously, it's still fluctuating. The West is like but you went by LeBron and Anthony Davis. I
Mm-hmm.
understand they're one game, but it's a picture like they're all game sevens. They're winner take all. People care about them. That alone's confidence. Like, okay, we went here and we did that. We went here and did that. We went here and did that. That's alone confidence. So that's the thing with the Pacers. They can complete this, and I think it'd be better for them to beat the Lakers than it would be the Pelicans. Either way, it'd be phenomenal for them to be the first ever champion of the in-season tournament. But if they beat LeBron in that too, I think that gives an added little bonus too.
Sure. And you know what? That touches again to the genius of Adam Silver here. The reason
Mm-hmm.
why. This really isn't any different to early season NBA basketball, especially what happened
No.
in the quarterfinal. That was a home
Mm-hmm.
game for the Pacers and they caught the Celtics.
Yep.
Not out of the usual. Even tonight's game, that might happen on a given Wednesday where Halliburton and Giannis and Dame have big games against each other. No one's
Yeah.
watching, though. No one's going to watch that specific game.
Yep.
So I think it brings eyes to the game in a beautiful way. Um, and it is too early, but like that's perfect. That's when you're going to get a team like the Pacers to go against the Lakers like this. Is early season, not necessarily February when maybe the Pacers have an injury or when the Lakers have
Interception
it
by the
more
Patriots, by the
together.
way.
There we go. There we go.
Unless there's a flag on the play, maybe. Sorry, but
No,
I'm
I
just
just
gonna keep
remembered.
giving.
I gotta set. I think I started them. I gotta make sure I started them.
I'm gonna keep giving random little things. I think it was a penalty on the Patriots. First down.
Good thing you
Steelers.
said
But
that because yeah,
yeah, then J.C. Jackson had I think maybe defensive holding or pass interference or something. But I'm gonna keep giving little weird, just random shout out if
I
something
did start
big
them.
happens.
I'm up 15-0 right now just because of the Pats. So
Yep. Okay, we like
there
it.
we go.
We like it. Yeah, it was a little holding. But okay, anyways, going with Adam Silver actually being a genius and us hating on him for no reason.
No, yeah, I mean, this is no different than what happens in November and December basketball in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You're just slapping tournament on it, and like I said, shining all the crazy things to get attention to the game. And then when you put the actual product in a semifinal format, an AAU format, you're gonna get the best out of the best players at the least.
Mm-hmm.
And Keenan, I mean, I'll get to my larger point here. I'll cut to the chase already. I want more tournaments. Why stop here? Why not? We hear all the time like how different AAU culture has made the NBA and how it's
Yep.
different between the European game and such and the international game in general. Well, why not lean into American basketball culture and just make it 3 tournaments? Don't get too wild to make it 6, but have this
See,
tournament, have one on All-Star weekend, and have, the NBA championship.
yeah, I was gonna say I would have three. I was gonna say if you're counting the playoffs as another tournament, then I completely agree with you. I think having one now, giving them the rest of December into a little bit of January to kind of like go through whatever, and then like obviously I'm going with your point, and I'm kind of taking it a little step further. Replace the All-Star game with a championship game.
Definitely.
Whatever it is, just replace the All-Star game with the championship game. You can keep picking the city. Friday night, you have no basketball on Friday. You have no basketball on Saturday. Friday is your rookie, sophomore, international, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever variation of it you want to do. Your celebrity All-Star game, you can keep that. Saturday, you have your. I think you should add a 3-on-3. I think that would be great, but obviously that's our want. Even so, you still have your skills challenge, 3-point shooting contest, your dunk contest, and then on Sunday, you make sure everything ends on Thursday. Like the championship games are end on Thursday, like this semifinals. On Sunday, whatever championship teams are there, you have them. That's what I would do. I think that's interesting.
I'll take it a step further from that, Keenan. Not really.
Okay.
That's more an alter. Keep it exactly how you just said it, but also keep the dunk contest and the 3-point contest. I think there's a way you could factor that in, and I think that would
Wait, what do you
almost
mean
bring.
keep it?
So like keep the Saturday, keep the event on
No,
Saturday.
that's what. Oh, sorry. If I misconstrued that, that's what I meant. Like you have your All Star Friday night the same, All Star Saturday night the same,
Okay,
and then
okay, okay.
All Star
I agree.
Sunday. Just completely wipe out the All Star game because no one seems to care about it regardless.
And do tournament.
And then just have that tournament and be done with it. I think that would be. I would enjoy that more because at least I know there's going to be meaningful basketball played by two good teams. Because regardless, it's either two really good teams or a team that's good that got hot. Like the Pacers, I think are a good team that got hot at the right time and they're playing really fun basketball. So the Pacers playing the Pacers Pelicans on All-Star weekend on that Sunday for the in-season for the second tournament championship, All-Star weekend tournament champion. I'm here for it. I'm here for that. So I agree with you. I think having 3 tournaments, if you're including the actual NBA playoffs, would be perfect because it'd give a lot more to the NBA and it's innovative. So I agree.
Yeah, and I think the other genius aspect of it is like I've told you like how toxic NBA Twitter and just how social media with the NBA is. Like you can't have a conversation about even someone like Halliburton, someone who's as fun as him. There's gonna be it's not gonna be as much right now because he's still early in his career, but eventually it's gonna be like, okay, what the fuck's he done? You know what I mean? And that's kind of where the tournament negates that. The more tournaments you have, you're feeding into the legacy talk. You want legacies? Hey, we can find out in the early season tournament and hopefully eventually the mid-season tournament and then the NBA finals. Truly, honestly, I think if the NBA wanted to, they should lean all the way into it and do like 6 tournaments. I don't think that'll ever happen.
I think
There's no
three
way
is
you
perfect.
could.
I think
What's
if you're
up?
in the playoffs,
Three's perfect. Three's the only way they could truly,
perfect.
honestly do it.
I think it's perfect.
That's the only way they could honestly do it. But if you wanted to make that whole regular season matter, you would need 3, 4, 5. But to me, 3 is the perfect number, especially with the 82 game season. But hey, they're leaning into the toxicity on the internet, and just leaning into the culture. It just reminded me so much of AAU, and it's in Vegas with a neutral crowd, and the crowd genuinely seemed to love hoops. It wasn't like the All-Star weekend where you're gonna get mostly just like basketball tourists, to say almost. You're gonna get pure fans.
Because it's a different. Obviously, there's still a lot of money. It's Vegas, but there's still a different level of money for All-Star Weekend. Like, it's just like an up a little bit higher. So, and people are more there for the spectacle too. Like oh my God, this is here. Like, this is going on this weekend. This is here. The only reason why you're in Vegas is to watch two competitive teams play basketball for something.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think about that, but I completely agree with you. I think that 3 would be perfect. And because imagine this, Luka Doncic, say they missed the playoffs this year and next year there's an in-season, like 2 in-season tournaments. What if he runs the table on all of them? Like, he wins the finals, but wins the in-season tournament and wins the second tournament. People would walk out of that saying he might be the best player in the league just from that run.
Well,
because you'd be like, so like
keep
it
going,
adds
keep
to
going,
the,
keep going.
I was gonna say it adds to that legacy because someone who flames out a little bit, or even so, let me take a new player that's kind of already has a legacy. James Harden. Say he goes like next year, they went on an in-season tournament run. He made big plays down the stretch, hit a game winner there, hit a game winner or something, won that in-season tournament, won the in-season tournament MVP, and then got the mid-season one per se and did the same thing. Not that it's going to completely change the narrative on he can't perform in the playoffs, but people would be like, well, maybe he's coming around as like a big-time performer. These games matter, and he's coming up in the clutch. Not saying, like, obviously it's not the same as the playoffs, of course, but it does add a little bit more because then arguments can be had about like, yeah, but the in-season tournament, that clearly matters. He hit game winners here. He won this one. He was the MVP of that. So obviously he's progressing or something. Like, it adds like a little bit of conversation to it, like you were saying.
Yeah, well, it's almost, again, it's more so in line with the culture. It's not even that if it matters or not. It's that the regular season itself doesn't matter so much that you got to find a way to incentivize it. Like, I bet, all right, let's take the 2016 Warriors. In our hypothetical setting, Keenan, they would have won all 3, right? Because, obviously it took everything LeBron and Kyrie had to take them on.
And I could argue that if Draymond doesn't get suspended game 5, they win that game regardless.
Right. Like, they play that series most of the time. They're winning that series probably in 6 or 7 most of the time. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they went 73-9. Okay. So teams like that, they're going to win. They have a chance to at least 3-peat in season, hypothetically.
Yeah.
Whereas most NBA seasons, it's going to be like this where you can catch the Bucks early. I guarantee you the Pacers aren't beating the Bucks in a series after 82 games. Right. Mm-hmm. But only certain teams and players are taking the regular season series to where they're playing from October to June or to even April, just like that series. You're getting a lot of players who are playing 50, 60 games who are important. So it just gives you more certainty of what's going on in the season. That gives you more concreteness because, man, yeah, you get a few stars that are playing 70, 80 games, but a lot of them are 65 and below. And it's just uncertainty. You can't say for certain, okay, unless you're watching every game, which not everyone is as much. I mean, I know I'm not, right? So I'm speaking for myself here, I guess, but it's hard for me to keep up with the league more so than it was 6 years ago. With tournament style, it's a lot easier. It gives you a lot more certainty. It gives you more incentive to play if you're a player. And look, it would capture the ebbs and flows of the season. Because yes, a team like the Pacers should win this early. They've been playing well, but in February it might be a little different. That might be Lakers time. In April and June, that's when the big dogs come out. So
so
it would just give more certainty, and it would. Sorry to keep talking over you, but it would give more certainty, and it would just fit with the American culture more. Just give us more tournaments because that's where basketball culture is. And, the old model, it's hard to evaluate players by the old model now. So that's just my takeaway is we need more tournaments.
Absolutely. And so like if they would have started this last year, I think someone like Lauri Markkanen could be even a bigger name right now because the Jazz started off hot last year. They could have won, like right now at this point, they were like the 2 seed. Obviously they fell out, but and someone like Lauri could have given you a 30-10 against Jokic. And that adds, I mean, he already was an all-star starter, but that adds to the public perception of it. Like right now, obviously, if there was no in-season tournament and Halliburton just did exactly what he just did against the Celtics and then against the Bucks,
it'd be nothing.
In the same way, it would be like man, we really got to start talking about Halliburton. Like he's a really good player. Like exactly. I think we got to talk about him, but he's still not Dame. He's still not Steph. He's still not I'm not even sure if he's De'Aaron Fox or Shai Gilgeous because obviously we saw De'Aaron Fox in the playoff last year, most clutch player that matters too. Now it's Lillard, Halliburton, like people, like not that even is a conversation for me personally. I think I still have Lillard above him. Obviously, you need to get more to just leapfrog. But for some people, it's going to be like same court. Did you see the better player? Like, because that's how fandom works these days.
Yeah,
so
well,
like,
I mean, yeah, I'll change it exactly. I mean, it went from, because that is what the conversation is. Halliburton's there with everybody. He's right there. He's been playing top 10 easily these first 6 to 8 weeks.
22 games ish, roughly around there now.
However much we're in, he's every bit of that, and he's definitely outplaying Dame early on the season. You could argue he's outplaying basically every point guard aside from Steph. He's certainly the best pure point guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, now you put a tournament on it. Now you got a name and a face with it. Now it's not just the real hoop heads, the ones who are really following the sport, who are talking about it. Now you're going to get national media talking about it in the same way you would maybe like a March Madness.
Yes,
right? No one
let him
pays
put
attention
30
to
and
college
15 against
basketball.
LeBron up. Let him just let LeBron win and put up 30 and 15, have a signature play against LeBron. Let that happen. His name will be even like, he might be like instant MVP. Like Mike Breen was already like, he didn't want to allude to it early, but like he was like, maybe if the Pacers keep winning, Halliburton's got to be in MVP talks. We're not talking about this without the in-season tournament. I'm sorry. Like we just aren't.
Not this early anyway.
Not this early. Obviously, 55 games in, if they have a big game on ESPN and the Pacers are 30 and 20 or something like that, or 35 and 20 or something like that, then yeah, of course. But 20 games in, that's a Steph conversation. That's a Luka conversation. That's a Jokic conversation. It's not a Halliburton conversation without the tournament, but now it is.
What's funny about that is I feel like by now, usually people are trying to throw out NBA names already. And I'm always like, it's too quick. Let's wait till about the All-Star break to even have that conversation.
Same with football. Wait until Thanksgiving.
Wait until
once Thanksgiving, wait until All-Star break. Then we can start. Then 60% of the seasons have been played on both sides. We can start talking about who's been the best for it. I don't want to talk about who's the best 20% of the season in. Like, I don't need to know the MVP. I mean, the MVP week 4 in the NFL was once Brock Purdy, and then it went to Joe Burrow, then it went to Dak, then it went to Jalen Hurts. Now it's back to Dak and Brock Purdy, and like,
don't get me started.
We can start having this conversation now.
We'll wait till Timmy gets on here for me to talk about it.
We can start this conversation now.
But I mean, look, I mean, obviously, I say this all the time. Like, I don't watch ESPN, so I don't know if they've talked MVP. But I haven't seen even people talk MVP online.
I haven't seen it
unless they're talking about Jokic, who should be the front runner because he's just insane right now, still doing what he does. But yeah, hey, it's brought a lot of excitement. I want one more tournament, hopefully within the next 2 years. And if you want just my slight prediction, it would be that, I mean, before I said that this tournament's going to overtake All-Star Weekend altogether, my new prediction will be that exactly what we just talked about, that eventually maybe it'll be 3 tournaments if they're smart. I don't want to make it sound like I'm smarter than who's at the league right now, but come on, you would watch that in a second. I haven't been this glued to the NBA like this early in quite a while.
It's literally, and I know we reference this year a lot, but I've been thinking it's literally 2016. It's the best year of all. Like 2016 to 17 has everything you could ever want. Albums, like music wise, it has everything. You had SZA, you had Beyonce, you had Drake. Kendrick came out right in the early 2017,
the before KD era, as far as
Big Sean had I Decide, like literally, but like 2016, obviously, because Steph made you glued to the TV, and then that made you like, oh wow, the Spurs low key 66 wins, what? And then you're like, oh, what's LeBron gonna do with this Steph? Is Steph the face of the league now? Is it LeBron? Is this the best MVP season we've ever seen? Kyrie's doing things over here. Oh, can Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook unseat this Warriors team? And then obviously Steph has the shot heard around the world, and we're like, what can't this guy do? He might be the GOAT after he's done his career. Like, obviously, like that season was just so great. And then, as we've always said, it was leading into, like, without Kevin Durant going to the Warriors, even though I feel like I've now witnessed the greatest team never play, but that's obviously a conversation for another day, or at least the most talented team that's ever been put together, if you want to not say the greatest. We never know. If Kevin Durant just stays with Westbrook, Curry, they reload a little bit. Maybe they tool Harrison Barnes for like a Chris Middleton style player. Maybe upgrade there a little bit. LeBron and Kyrie run it back. Now we got something now, but then we watched them waltz to a 16-1 playoff record and only lost in game 4 of the NBA Finals because the Cavs made like 23 threes. But
Right.
whatever.
I mean,
Whatever.
Sure. If we want to wax poetically about 2017, if we want to call him the greatest, sure. I mean, it's like no shit. If you add any top 20 player to that team, that 73-9 team, you're going to get the same result. But especially if you add KD or LeBron. Like that would have been like,
let's add Hakeem Olajuwon to the 72-10 Bulls. You're like, okay, what are we supposed to do with that? They already went 72-10. The only difference is they obviously won in 6, and the Warriors lost to Cavs in 7. But like, it's just.
So I agree with you. Like, yeah, it's the greatest, but it's like, do I have fond memories of it? No, it's cool, but I can see that kind of basketball at All-Star games. That doesn't happen anymore. But so I see what you're saying, but it's more pure when it's not. I mean, don't even get me started.
The 2016 run, the 73-9 was more fun to watch than the 2017 run when they were 67-15. I understand and I completely agree with you.
We don't get this tournament without the 2017 Warriors. I can make that whole argument. The whole league, everything changed after that summer of 2016.
Again, 2016. I mean, summer 16, as Drake said. Looking for revenge all summer 16. Like, whatever. But yeah, okay. The last thing I did want to mention, we were talking about LeBron a little bit. LeBron, in game 1, he still was the best player on the floor. And this is where we were talking about best players like last year when we were talking about the list. And I was like, I completely understand why for a season, you might go Tatum, you might go Embiid, you might go whomever. But if you're telling me one game or one series all healthy, I'm still taking LeBron over everyone that's not named Jokic, Curry, or Giannis, not in that order.
So you'd put him as a top 5 player then?
To me, he's 4. He was 4 last year, he's still 4. Like, it's Curry has gotten to the point where he's kind of like LeBron, where like no one wants to obviously see him. Giannis is just such a freak, and Jokic is Jokic. Like, he has to be the best player in the league right now with what he's doing. He's literally put the league on cheat code. So other than those 3, you can have an argument with me about somebody, maybe Kevin Durant, maybe Luka, depending on Embiid, maybe Tatum, but like, I'm having LeBron at 4.
I might put Luka ahead of that. Luka had a goddamn triple-double in the first half last night.
29-point triple-double in the first half. So you know what? I'm not even like heavily arguing against you. It's just for me, if I'm like one game, like this tournament, if I'm drafting players for this tournament, LeBron would be the 4th overall player for me. And then Luka would probably be 5.
I'd have it flipped, but I more or less agree with you. Top 10 regular season, LeBron's borderline. You know what I mean? He's in the 8 to 10 range, maybe in the 12 range, depending how you're ranking it. But tournament time, LeBron's obviously can't be lower than 6 at this point. If you want to dock him a little bit for being older, but no, there's nothing you can trick LeBron with. There's nothing he hasn't seen. And then
it's the
Giannis.
Same way with Brady. Late Brady was like, you could say Mahomes is better at the point, Rodgers was better, but like when it came to playoff time, was there really a quarterback that you wanted more? It's like, okay, I get it, but like obviously, like right now, regular season wise, I would take Shea over LeBron. Like I'm gonna get the production, but I'm also gonna get more health. But obviously, playoff time, LeBron, again, been there, done that. I'm taking LeBron over everyone other than the 3 I already named.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Again, I'd flip the other 2, and then you know what?
That's fine.
And Embiid right now, the way Embiid's playing, I couldn't pick him. I could never pick him over LeBron because Embiid's postseason success is nothing. But Embiid is balling out of his mind. I mean, he had 50 12 and 7 last night or some shit at a couple blocks, and he's just
sadly against the Wizards. But yeah,
hey, that's what you got to do against the Wizards.
It's still that's Dallas blowing out the bad teams. Like you still got to play, and you still got to blow them out. So like, kudos to him. Like I'm not taking anything away. And you're right. And when it comes to the regular season over the last 3 years, he's easily a top 3 player. Honestly, you could argue 1. You could try to make an argument for 1. I would put Jokic, then probably Embiid, then Giannis for like just regular season. But any one of those three, you could give me an argument for one and I could listen because they've all been fake. But it's just been Embiid. Playoff wise, there's just been too many games as of late where you remember you're like, it's good, but not there. Game 7 in Boston's like, oh,
but
can't have that.
He's doing exactly what you're supposed to do after that, and that's come out killing in
Absolutely.
the regular season.
Absolutely.
And we haven't heard him say anything about James Harden, to my knowledge, anywhere, or anything regarding that situation. He just came out and hooped. Absolutely.
The only thing he said was, only thing he's really said was this team has more continuity. That was it.
Sure,
like, and sure. It's fine. Like, that's a fine comment. Like, if you're throwing a little slander at James Harden, good. I don't care.
That's just honesty.
That's just honesty. This team like cares. Like, this team is better without James Harden than it was with. Tyrese Maxey gets to shine more. Tyrese Maxey. I know Tyrese Maxey has getting to shine more, and Tobias Harris gets to step into his third role, is what I was trying to say. Halliburton, the THs threw me off, but so you just get all of that kind of in line. I think the Sixers look like they can make it to the conference finals better this year than they could have last year with Harden, just because Harden's very.
I mean, they were basically there. They were basically there. All they had to do was kill off the Celtics with 2 minutes to go. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, look, if James Harden just
breathes
him and
properly.
Embiid, if they just would have ended the Celtics and not clammed up with 2 minutes left, and if Harden just was a good teammate this year, I think they'd have the same amount of chances. In this case, it's an addition by subtraction with the mental side of things of how good of a teammate James Harden is. Basketball wise, I'd say they're about the same, just because they added more defensive versatility. Yes. Clippers are just much worse. It sucks. I feel so bad for Westbrook, just because I feel like Westbrook really was making an impact on that in the short time that team was together before they traded for Harden. Now they just don't fit. I mean, I can't imagine.
It was the first time he really felt. It was the first time, like, for me, he really felt like he had a home since he left the Thunder. Not that he, like, on the Rockets, he was like battling kind of back and forth with obviously Harden. Then the Wizards stint was cool, but like they weren't really playing for anything. So he was just doing his thing, but like it was almost semi-meaningless just because they weren't going to get anywhere. Then obviously he got to the Lakers and it was like, I'm going to try to fit, but it didn't end up fitting. And then he finally got to the Clippers. And then he finally got to the Clippers, and that's something I was like, this might work okay. It's going to be cool because he's going to give him energy, and if Kawhi or Paul George miss time, he's going to be there. But he really fit that team. And then now you just throw Harden into it, and like his role completely becomes wonky. And that whole, I don't like that group. I still don't like it. Like, they might figure it out because they're good basketball players. They're cool. They're fun. But like, I don't enjoy that grouping.
Not yet. And they just can't guard anybody. That's what sucks. And
no.
I don't know. I hope Westbrook honestly ends up with like Miami. I really do. I feel like that would be a good fit for him.
I would like that. I would like that a lot.
I think they would suit him. Just somewhere that wants him, because he's actually like playing to win. And I can't always say the same thing about James Harden. Not accusing him of not playing to win, but sometimes it just seems like he's not interested in it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No, I mean, I love this tournament. I can't wait for game 2. I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. Cannot wait for the finals. I don't know about you, Keenan, but I might have to make my way to Vegas in the second weekend of December, if that's what it's going to be annually. I might have to make my way for the second annual in-season tournament.
I'll shoot a Warner Brothers podcast from inside Vegas if we can.
Inside Vegas.
If we can get to the stadium inside, like I'll sit courtside next to Breen and we can get this going. Like, that's cool with me. I'm chilling with that. But
is
there anything else you wanted to talk about? I know we're going to talk football real quick, so I don't know if you want to segue into that or if
just more praise for the in-season tournament. I love what I'm seeing, and I really do. Just give us more tournaments. If we can get to 3 on All-Star Weekend, that would be amazing. But yeah, segue to football. 7-3. Just for the sake of picks, Keenan, I would have picked a team I didn't choose earlier. I didn't choose. but I was gonna settle. Sadly, this is depressing. I was gonna pick the Patriots for like the third straight week. I have no business picking the Patriots in 3 straight games, and my score would have been 10-7. So 3 more points for the Pats because they got 7, and then yeah, if I guess they can't get 7, the Steelers. So maybe we'll get
Two safeties.
maybe we'll get yeah, we can get 2 safeties, which don't rule it out against the Pats.
I'm
This
not
year.
ruling it out.
So
I'm really not.
maybe we'll get 10-6 or 10-9, but my official prediction would have been 10-7 Pats.
Mine
We're
was
going to talk about
13-3 Steelers. Just to throw it out there on the airways, it was 13-3 Steelers. So the Patriots have already doubled what I thought and then some. So like they're killing it right now. I didn't think they could put up a touchdown again. I really didn't.
I will be really interested to see. I mean, the NFL kills everybody in ratings, including just whatever's on TV in general. But I want to know what sickos are actually out there like in favor of Steelers versus Pats versus an in-season semifinal. Because I get it, it's still the regular season at the end of the day. This one's more officially
With
a tournament
LeBron.
with LeBron. This is more official tournament. I don't want to diminish it after I've been talking about it. The quarterfinals were more like a regular season game. This is more like a tournament setting with the isolated gym and everything, no home court, whatever. Mm-hmm. But man, if this game of all games outrates the in-season tournament, I know it's not Lakers versus like a name team, like a mainstream team like the Suns.
It's still Zion.
But it's still Zion. More importantly, who the fuck is watching Bailey Zappi versus Mitch Trubisky? That is some sicko shit. I'm not even watching it, and I'm a Patriots fan. Again, I'm going to tune in after I leave here, but I haven't seen one second of the game.
I have about 18-inch screen iPad that it's playing on right now. I have the television on the actual game, so the second, like, I'm going to watch the television. This is just let me look to see if the scores change. Okay, I'm back to doing what I actually care about, which is this podcast. Cool. Let me
be clear. If we weren't recording, the game would be on, but I would be more focused on my I would be more focused on my phone or whatever.
You'd be caring about Twitter, like Twitter would care, like about what happened.
I would be. I don't know. I'd be in some way prepping for the next game in some way, but. Mm-hmm. Hey, also complete sidebar, because you mentioned it last week. Nicki Minaj album dropping tonight, Pink Friday too. I guess it's her birthday today too. So interested to hear that. I haven't heard from Nicki in a while.
Happy birthday, Anika.
So
Trubisky threw a pick now.
No surprise.
And it got returned to the 10. So then there's no flag. So listen, I already might be wrong with my pick this week, but I didn't. Listen, Zappi might just do enough to get the win in Steeler County over Mitch Trubisky, but that's also not a shock too. The Patriots have owned the Steelers for my entire life, so
it's Mitchell Trubisky versus the number one. The only thing they can do is run, and the Pats got the number one run defense. So
yeah, but we do have a guy named Bailey at quarterback, so I mean it's not much better. But like, let's move on to about an equivalent quarterback matchup, which is going to be Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen at Arrowhead.
No difference there, really.
It's about no difference. You got Mitchell Trubisky, who is basically Josh Allen, and Zappi has the live arm of Mahomes. But
it's not a difference.
And a must-win for every team there. But I think it's a 1.5 point favoring KC right now. If I believe correctly, that is roughly around that. I think this game is vastly important for both teams. KC's in jeopardy of really losing the 1 seed for the entire season. If they do that, obviously, again, Mahomes has never played a road playoff game before. He'll be fine. But at least it's just one thing where they're not at home. They're a different routine. They'll be playing on Wild Card Weekend. They'll be playing all throughout the playoffs. So they're not going to get the bye baked in. I just think that this is a very must-win game for KC. And obviously for Buffalo, they want to make the playoffs. This is going to be that. Josh Allen has been electric and phenomenal against the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in Arrowhead over the last 2. You had the game, obviously, the playoff game, which was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. And then last year, I think they won 38 to something. I don't even know. But before I give like what I think about the game and who I think is going to win, what do you have your thoughts on the game here?
Cannot wait for the game. It's going to be a phenomenal game. I agree. I'm expecting, I guess, high scoring. I guess high scoring. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to tell. I know the KC had a lot of injuries Sunday night, especially in their secondary versus the
Yeah.
Packers. Last we saw the Bills, they're shooting out the Eagles. You know what I mean? So Chiefs can't really get it going. So I mean, this is a perfect spot for the Bills. I mean, you got them and the Cowboys back to back, and you got the Cowboys at home. It was going to be a tough game already, but a winnable game. And now you got injuries in the secondary, which the Bills have been banged up on defense all season. This is an even game to me, an exactly even game. And if you're asking me just right now, records aside, everything aside, who's the better team right now? I might take the Bills. I might just take the Bills. And you give Mahomes that advantage at home, yeah, you do. But man, they cannot score. Like they struggle to score. I mean, it's not like the Pats and the Steelers cannot score, but for what we're used to with the Chiefs, yeah, they can't score compared to years past. In the Bills, they're at least having no problem scoring. With them, it's the play calling. With them, it's can the defense get a stop? We know they can turn you over. The Chiefs couldn't even get turnovers last week. Not saying they can't turn you over, but I think there's a lot of advantages to the Bills for the Bills in this game going to KC. It's going to be tough, but hey, they already almost won the 13-second game. I mean, they're not afraid. They've never really actually done it. I don't believe so anyway. But
they've won twice in the regular season in Arrowhead. They've lost twice in the playoffs. And Josh Allen, I think,
so
is
there you
a
go.
career 2-2 or 3-2, 2-3, one of those two. But the last two games they've played in Arrowhead, I think they've lost, or regular season 1 and lost. But anyways, regular season 2-0, playoffs 0-2.
There you go. I mean, look, Mahomes has yet to play a like holy shit. That's why he's Patrick motherfucking Mahomes. Like he hasn't played that game yet.
He's played a first half, and that was against the Chargers, where he threw for nearly like 300.
Sure.
But like that, like for again, a first half. It hasn't been wire to wire one of those games. The same way I feel about the Eagles, how they've been obviously really good, but the Eagles to me haven't had a wire to wire win where I'm like, that's the 49ers over the Cowboys, or that's the Ravens over the Lions, or that's the whatever, like whatever teams you want to go through, even Bills over the Dolphins, like that kind of, they haven't had that kind of win this season. But Mahomes hasn't had that kind of game yet. And I'm going to allude to it now, obviously, because it's fine. We're going through the weekend. I actually do have the Bills winning this game. I think I really have faith in Josh Allen. Hunter Henry touchdown. My goodness. Who is this Patriots team? Is that Bailey Zappi or Tom Brady at helm? But I have Josh Allen going out there and playing one of his best games of the season. He gets up for these Chief games. Like the entire Bills organization gets up for these Chief games in a different kind of way every time. So they're gonna get the best. They're gonna get the best of the Bills. The Chiefs will. And again, as you've been saying, they haven't been able to manufacture points. If there's a moment where they're gonna need to, it's this game. So maybe the championship pedigree of that team will be able to kind of muster up some points. Andy Reid will be able to make great play calls, but I'm not gonna put my faith into it. Isaiah Pacheco hasn't practiced all week. He has a shoulder injury. If he's out, he's been the best offensive player outside of obviously Patrick Mahomes, but like he has been like their best offensive player, better than Kelsey, better than whatever receiver. If he's out, I don't like their chances really, and especially because it's a very, very desperate Bills team off of a bye. Sean McDermott 6-0 off of a bye as a Bill as well. Like everything right now reads Buffalo win. So if KC does get the W here, I'm giving them massive credit for it because they're in an inopportune situation, in my opinion, other than being at home, and they still got the W. But I'm going with the Bills. I would say this game probably, I do think the Chiefs will score. I think it'll be like 31-28, something like that. I think it's going to be another kind of barn burner type style game.
Two things. One, I agree with you. I'll say this. Pacheco plays, I'll have the Bills 27-24. Pacheco doesn't play, I'd have it more something like 31-22. Something like that. Like I think the Bills would run away with it. Keem, the more you keep talking about the Eagles, the more I'm like, I still don't understand why you picked the Eagles last week. You keep making the same case. I'm like, it was right there for you. But that's neither here nor there. You seem like you wanted it, but you're making all the points why the Eagles last week. Which, by the way, will kind of give credence to this week if you want to transition right into Cowboys Eagles, because I think we kind of said what we want to say about Bills Bills Chiefs. I mean, we're both
Yeah.
on the Bills. I agree with you completely. Regardless of who wins, I don't think there's any way it's a bad game. I think we're gonna
No.
get these two quarterbacks seem to bring out the best in each other. But if
They've
you want to,
never played a bad game, in my opinion, against
no,
each other.
not
Even
at
like
all.
the regular season games that the Bills have kind of won by a little bit more than the Chiefs have. Like they just never played a bad game, and I don't assume that to continue. But yeah, we can go right into the Eagles going to Dallas and going to Jerry World. And okay, so and you're right. It makes sense as to why I understand why you don't understand why I picked the Eagles, why I picked the 49ers last week. And to me, it was more so I just didn't see them losing back-to-back games, and I thought they were losing this game about 2 weeks ago. I had this game already kind of baked in. They're the same reason why you felt the 49ers were going to win last week are the same reasons why the Cowboys should win this week. More rest, better. They have a passing attack that absolutely can shred the Eagles secondary. Dak has I think 18 touchdowns to 2 picks at home this season. Like he's been phenomenal at home. They're averaging close to about 35-ish points plus maybe even a game. Dak against Sirianni has been legitimately lights out. He's been all-time great, honestly, against Sirianni. I think that continues. CD's going to have a big game. Brandon Cooks is going to have a big game. It's the team. The only difference is the Eagles are going to be a little bit more. They can't afford a loss as much as they did last week. They had games in the loss column against the 49ers this week. If they lose, they're the 2 seed, unless the 49ers for some reason lose to the Seahawks, which I don't foresee happening. But I do have Dallas in this game. I have this game 28-24 Dallas.
I'm leaning that way. I would have a tough time seeing if Dallas got to 28, that the Eagles get to even 27 or over 25. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just due to their schedule, but at the same time, it's still the Cowboys. I mean, the Seahawks scored on them. If the Eagles can control the clock like they often want to, then they could absolutely take the air out of the building. Uh, Thing is, Dallas's defense is athletic enough and potent enough to stay with them. You know what I mean? They're just as capable of that Seattle game as they are not necessarily shutting down the Eagles, but at least making the Eagles uncomfortable and at least getting the stops on 3rd and short. They're at least capable of that, which not every team is capable of doing against the Eagles. So this one's harder for me to cap, honestly. I would lean Cowboys, and I'm still up in the air about that pick. I do want to say, Keenan, I meant to respond to you in the last segment about the Chiefs. Sure, Mahomes would be fine. Let's say he doesn't get the 1 seed. Sure, he'll be fine, but it's going to be a lot harder if he doesn't have that first round bye. I mean, just taking it from the Brady perspective, we rooted for Brady his whole career. If you add, especially in that second run, if you give him first round games instead of the bye and the home field advantage, those rings might go from 6-4 in the Patriot era or 6-3. It's fair to say that. It's fair to say that.
One win got you in a conference championship a game at that point.
For sure.
One win.
And at home. Because Brady on the road was a little different. As much as I hate to admit it, it was just, Peyton got the best of him when he was at home. That's what happened.
That Chiefs game was I've never been more nervous for a game.
But that game.
I've never been more nervous for a game in my entire life because that was, okay,
but he did win that one. He
did win that home.
He got you an Arrowhead, but it was a little
whenever
different.
anyone gives him a Mahomes GOAT conversation, all I have to say is that Tom Brady 2-0 against him in the playoffs with a Super Bowl win. That's all I got to say. I'll never listen to it just because of that now. Sucks
or just get 6 or 7. Get to 4. Get to 4 and then we can talk. But
it's gonna be
I think that's important. I think that's important as far as no, you're good. I think that's important as far as the 1 seed in the AFC. The Chiefs got to lose this game for them to not get it, and even then they'll still have a good chance just because their schedule compared to the other competitors. Which that's another part I'm leaning in this NFC matchup. If the Eagles lose, it's still not as good. They'll be tied with the Cowboys, but you still almost favor the Eagles given what their last few games are. They got the Giants. I think they might have the Giants twice. I could be completely wrong about that, but
Giants twice, Seahawks, and Cardinals. So
that's 3. That's for sure 3 wins. For sure, 3 wins.
bake in the
Seahawks
fact that the
will.
Cowboys win this game. The Cowboys, one of two ways the Cowboys would be able to overtake the division. The Cowboys would have to run the table, and the Eagles would have to lose one game, or the Cowboys could afford one loss if one of the Eagles' losses came to the Giants, because then their division record would be 5-1 compared to it being 4-2 for the Eagles. Those are the only two ways. And if I don't foresee the Giants beating the Eagles, so the only team that I could see them really losing to would be the Seahawks, and I don't even see that. And Dallas running the table is not likely because they have a hungry Bills team after this in Buffalo. Then they have a Dolphins team who's going to be gunning for the 1 seed after this. Then they host the Lions after that. But then they get the Commanders. So if they can get through that unscathed.
By the way, they could go 4-0. If they go 4-0, then they deserve every contender talk they're getting right now. They deserve all that. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. But where is that? Two questions. Where's the Seahawks-Eagles game?
Okay.
And then where's the Cowboys-Dolphins game?
Cowboys-Dolphins game is in Miami. The Eagles travel to Seattle next week.
Those are two losable games for both of them.
That's a Monday night game.
If the Eagles were to lose tonight, if the Eagles were to lose Sunday, it'd be very hard to see them dropping 3 in a row. So, man, it almost seems like if they won tonight that they could very well lose, just because Seattle's such a tough place to play. And I really like how Seattle responds in must-win situations. Look at the Dallas game. Yeah, they lost, but they went toe-to-toe with them. You know what I mean? And the Eagles, as much as I love them, as much as they were my preseason Super Bowl pick, and I'm, as of right now, sticking by that. And I think the Niners are the better team right now, but I mean, they just seem to lack the physicality of last year. Like, they could just overwhelm you physically, offensive and defensively. And they still kind of do it offensively, but not as much. Not as much the last 3 or 4 weeks. The last month, I would say.
They don't seem to have the ability to explode offensively the way they used to be. That's one. 2, they have a little bit more injuries up front, and because of that, they didn't really have a great pass defense last year. But you got away with that because the front 7 was so dynamic that they got after the quarterback. Don't get me wrong, Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, picking up Jalen Carter in the draft. They're going to get after the quarterback. It's just not at the same capacity, which is allowing things like the 49ers game to happen. Obviously, the first 2 drives, you saw they were getting to Brock Purdy, made it tough, threw off the timing. Once they started to block him, it was good night. And the same, I mean, you saw that even when Dallas played them, the first time when Dallas lost to them, Dak still carved them up. It's just the fact that it came to the end of the game and they were a couple yards short on a couple different plays. But so I think that this Eagles team is very good, but it's not the same. And obviously their coaching staff last year too added along with that team. Like last year, looking back, might be their best chance to win one. And obviously we don't know because going forward, like within like this kind of era of this team, just because this team's getting older. Like last year, everything came together. They very easy schedule. They didn't have, because obviously they didn't win the division the year prior, plus the great coaching staff, plus everything that came together. And obviously it came down to that controversial call, lost to the Chiefs. So we'll see. Obviously they can win one. Jalen can win one at some point, but with this iteration, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson on the front line and everything else.
Sure. I mean, it might be their best chance. You're correct about that. I would give them at least, 2 more seasons maybe under this window if Hurts stays healthy. If Hurts stays healthy. It seems like the NFL flows in 4 years. So, yeah, I mean, you almost expect that pass rush to get better in the playoffs. Kind of like the analogy to make it, with LeBron and AD. You like them in a 7-game series versus, just a game in February or whatever like that, right? So that's kind of how I view the Eagles pass rush, is maybe they can summon it more in the postseason, but then again, we'll see. You know what I mean? It's kind of come and gone.
It's going to come down to the Eagles offense too. The Eagles if you can limit Fletcher Cox and that defense 55-ish snaps, then you're going to have a good chance. When they get to the 70 because they're on the field so much, then that's when it could get a little bit dicey for them. I mean, that you can say that about a lot of teams, but some of the younger teams can kind of withstand that a little bit better than what I feel this Eagles team can. So it's going to come down to converting third downs, getting it third and manageable for the tush push, for whatever. Jalen Hurts making plays when they need to. So I'm really excited to see their playoff run, but obviously it comes down to this. We're talking this week. I do have Dallas winning this game. I think I said 28-24, and it's going to be around that.
I'll say Dallas 25-24. I kind of feel like you. I hate picking against the Eagles because it's like, come on, it's the Eagles. They, in general, are the better team against Dallas, but it is Dallas at home, where it seems like they're a different team. If any game down the stretch here, like that Niners game was very early this season, the Niners smacked them up. If any game out of all these games, and I know they have the Lions left, which I believe is Cowboys at home, this is damn near a Super Bowl for them. Not literally, but this is the biggest game of the rest of their season, I think. Lions game included. Especially with it being a divisional matchup. They're a rival, of course. It's their biggest game. So they should win this game.
Still tough games, but the biggest game for sure.
Yeah, so
obviously because they have the Bills, the Dolphins, then the Lions. So like you still have tough games there for sure. None of those teams are easy, but this is the Eagles. This is your division rival. They already beat you once. This is going to give you the best line for the 1 or the 2 or maybe even a 3 seed, depending. If you lose this game, you damn near could almost rest everybody for the remainder of the season because you're baked into the 5. Like there's no way that
if the Eagles get the 2, they probably get the Cowboys, right, in the second round. That's the second round matchup we're looking.
Maybe, yeah.
Just off the top. So in that case, you really want to win this game, just in case that, because I believe it'll.
No, probably not, because I don't see the Lions losing in the first round.
All depends. In general, it could hypothetically happen.
Hypothetically, it could happen at some point. Yeah, but like I don't see the Lions losing. So then it'd be the 2 playing the 3, and then since Dallas is the 5, it'd be the 1 playing the 5, which would be the 49ers playing the Cowboys in San Fran, and then it'd be the Lions heading to Philly. Or maybe Philly heading to the Lions, depending on how they end their season. Or for some reason, if the 49ers fall and the Lions are able to beat the Cowboys and they run the table, because they've got Bears, Broncos, Vikings, Cowboys, Vikings, which if they beat the Cowboys, you could. I'm not going to say with how they've been playing, but they could. 14-3, they might be able to get the 1 seed somehow still and make it semi-interesting, but again, that'd probably be either Dallas or the 49ers or Philly, one of the 3 teams heading into Detroit, which
all right,
I'd love to see for them.
Point I'm trying to make would be, I'm going to guess, this is my hypothetical, I'm going to guess Niners get the 1 seed, Philly gets the 2, Cowboys get the 5, right? That's probably the most likely. And then the Lions...
yes.
And I'll say regardless of what the first round matchups are, just give me those 3. I'm going to bet all 3 of those are going to be playing in the second round. Of course, the one with the bye will be. But I'm going to guess the Eagles and the Cowboys advance in this scenario. And whoever the Lions play, I believe, will be a live dog just because of that defense. So those 3 for sure. If you're telling me there's a chance that the Eagles and Cowboys, like a 50-50 chance they could play on a divisional weekend, then they absolutely have to win this game for their confidence. Even though it's tougher to beat that division opponent a third time. I mean, we saw the Bengals and Ravens last year without Lamar. That game was a struggle for the Bengals. So maybe it doesn't even matter. But you'd think for their confidence that they'd like to win this game. They have every reason to be favored in this game, just given what the Eagles have been the last few weeks, just given their schedule. So, yeah, I'll roll with you on that. I'll roll with the Cowboys and I'll roll with the Bills. And I love it. I mean, it's weird. This is a very weird week, Keenan, because we got 2 Monday night games. We've got that very good divisional Sunday night game. We've got KC at 4 o'clock. And then our best game out of the 1 o'clock window is probably Ravens-Rams. Probably. And it's like just one of those weird matchups, that's like, it could be good, it could be trash.
Sorry. Bailey Zappi just threw another dime to Hunter Henry, and it was a legitimate dime. We're 21-3. Oh, wow. Boy. Oh, golly. That was a dime. So when you see that third touchdown, that was a dime. But anyways, yes, you're 100%. 100% right. I'm not sure how much of a game that Rams Ravens game is going to be. On one hand, you have the Rams team who is playing well right now, and
And
then
playing for
on the other
playoffs.
and playing for the playoffs. On the other hand, you have a Ravens team who is, I believe, 17 in like one in Lamar's career against teams coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. And against, I think he's like 17-1 against NFC teams, even just all that. And Lamar is like 37 touchdowns to like 6 picks against. Like, it's an incredible, like, he is not beatable against these teams. It's pretty much because I think teams don't know how to prepare speed wise for him. He's just like obviously a different kind of animal. You can't simulate what he is. It's what I
Yeah.
would think. But so I don't see the Rams winning it, but obviously could they cover? That's the more so the interesting aspect of me. But you never know. You really never know. Maybe the Rams pull out a W, and then we have more questions than we thought about the Ravens, or than I thought.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. The Ravens in general make you feel okay against the better teams in the league. And the Rams are a better team, not an elite team, but they're one of the better teams. They're fighting for a playoff spot. Um, West Coast teams playing at one on the East Coast is definitely an advantage for the East Coast teams. That's a
Yeah.
real thing. You factor that in, but then you factor that the Rams need this game. They need every game down the stretch. It's really hard. I might
Mm-hmm.
think that this would be a closer game, closer than 7, because I think the line 7, at least was the last time I looked. And Mahomes and Lamar, they don't really cover big favorites or a touchdown or more favorites. They don't cover those as much as they cover the short favorites.
Of
But
course.
again, he's got that record against a West Coast team, and the Rams are good, but they're not great. They'll randomly summon up defense. It's weird. They can either it's either a track meet against them, it seems like, or it's an ugly ass game. It seems like the Rams have no in between when it comes to that. So it's really weird matchup. Again, I'm with you. I favor the Lamar and the Ravens, and they're coming off a bye as well. So Lamar better be
Yeah.
ready to go for my fantasy team purposes. It's a big week in our league. So, by the way, Keenan, I'm gonna definitely come in last in my third league, in my super flex league.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told you this. I love my roster in that league. And I'm gonna come in like for sure ninth or 10th. But everyone ahead of me is only like a game ahead. So maybe I'll
Yep.
somehow end up in the playoffs. I doubt it, but I could end up anywhere between 10 or 6 by the end of this week. And then my big money league, that's like I'm rising. I'm up at 5. My team's getting healthy. The Patriots are apparently doing work for me right now on the defensive side of the ball. So
They
I might get a
are.
I might get a head start, and who knows? Maybe I'll end up being like the 3 seed going into the postseason. But our league, it's shaky. Our league's been shaky as far as
Uh,
basically everyone outside of Camden and Ira. It seems like, and one of the
yeah, and
weights, right? Yeah,
Joey has been arguably the best. I mean, Joey's probably been the best team in the league. Like, our league has been super tough. My Dick Sporting Goods work league, yeah, we've been killing it there. I got blown out last week, but I am 9-4, tied for the best record in the league. So we're good there. The thing about me is I've made tough trades, but I've had Justin Jefferson on ice this entire run. We get Justin Jefferson back for the playoff run,
it's a new game.
we're fine.
New
I was
game.
just like, because Tony Pollard's finally become a human again, so he's rolling around. We got Jalen Hurts at QB. We have Zach Moss, so obviously while Jonathan Taylor's out, we have him plus Javonte Williams and DeAndre Swift and Kenneth Walker. Our running backs are insane. I tried to pair 2 of them for like a nice wide receiver, but just my league just so stingy.
Sometimes you get
Fantasy.
that stingy
I know
leagues.
fantasy trades. I hate leagues that are stingy. Can't do it. I need movement. But it is what it is.
Hey, the second semifinal is about to start. Let's solidify these picks again. You got 28-24 Dallas over the Eagles. Is that correct?
28-24 Dallas over the Eagles. I got 31-28 Buffalo over KC. The rest of the picks we will put out on the graphic as we do every single week.
I'm going to stick with 25-24. Actually, give me 25-22 Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you 22 in both. Give me 29-22 Bills of Buffalo in that game. Now, catch me and Keenan on the Live Take app. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the Warner Brothas Podcast. Catch me and Keenan post-game or maybe pregame. We'll figure it out. Pregame or postgame of the in-season tournament. We'll do one of those.
The champ, yeah. Also, just want to ask real quick before we sign off. We didn't predict this game exactly, but do you have Lakers or Pelicans tonight?
Got to go with the Lakers.
I got the Lakers.
LeBron in a tournament situation, you give him the advantage. But it's so early, and the Lakers are much like the Bucks, where they just haven't figured everything out yet. But also, like I said last week, it's essentially a home game for the Lakers. Unlike the first game, you're gonna get it's gonna be Lakers strong in there, so it's gonna be a home game. So yeah, when it's 2 minutes left and it's a 1 possession, 2 possession game, that defense is gonna feel a little different in that arena than it did that first game, where it seemed maybe more March Madness-esque, where it's a little more neutral.
Yeah.
It's going to be Lakers strong in there. If this was, as neutral or at a more neutral site than Vegas, I'd give the Pelicans a little more of an edge, actually. I think the Pelicans know who they are a little more than the Lakers right now. But Lakers at essentially a home game in the playoffs, in an in-season tournament, at the NBA Christmas tournament, got to give it to LeBron and AD. I got to point out 2 things. I'm a bit of a fake fan. Or I felt like a fake fan, because I came on here and said CJ was injured, and then I go and CJ McCollum's playing. I'm like, I didn't even know he was back. And I think we got on AD a little bit. We're right and wrong, though. We're right to hold AD in a standard that's below Jokic and Embiid and those type of bigs. Outside of that, though, he's been playing really well. I went and looked at his stats.
He's been
leading
playing
into the last game, I'm like, okay, he's still playing defense and rebounding the way he should, and even scoring. Like, he was scoring.
I was more so talking
22,
on a
24.
playoff level of like the consistency, because last year at this time he was arguably the best player in the league over like a stretch. Like at literally this time last year, it's more so, can you consistently play in the playoffs? But last thing I really want to say, because it's really about to tip off in about 30 seconds here.
Good timing.
I've got the Lakers over the Pelicans in this game, probably by like 4 or 6. I think it's going to be close. And then I do have the Pacers over the Lakers. I do have the Pacers winning it. I have Tyrese Halliburton having a signature play of his young career against LeBron. Whatever it is, I don't know yet, but it's going to be a signature play where it might be like a in and out crossover shake late fourth quarter on him, or like a drive by. Whatever it is, it's a signature play on LeBron James in a win. That is that. This was the Warner Brothas Podcast. Catch us on live tickets, Kyle.
You know what? Wait,
post game.
Time out.
I was going to try to drop a mic and leave.
I can't believe I went this far without bringing this up. It would be tough for LeBron to beat Halliburton. Or sorry, it'd be tough for Halliburton and the Pacers to beat LeBron and the Lakers if they're going to get the type of whistle they got the other night. And I'm not even talking about the fouls or anything like that, like people usually want to bring up. I'm talking about that weak-ass timeout call on a loose ball. We're up here talking about last time specifically. We talked about how good the NBA refs are in a tournament situation.
Go on.
That's right.
Keep going.
We talk about how good the refs are in a tournament situation. You're telling me the ref didn't see the ball rolling on the ground and he gave LeBron that timeout? That was terrible. That made me mad. That pissed me off, especially because that was a live ball. I don't know if the Suns, it looked like Grayson Allen would have gotten it. He was trending out of bounds, like he was almost out of bounds, so who knows? But you award them the timeout. If the Lakers are going to get that type of whistle, I mean, let's be honest, who does the league want to win if it's hypothetically Lakers, Pacers? Come on, we know the answer to that. But, hey, I mean, Pacers will be a live dog.
Didn't the Pacers get one in 2000?
What do you mean?
Did the Pacers get one game against the Lakers in 2000?
Oh, they got 2 games, but I'm saying, I mean, in a one-game situation, LeBron or Halliburton, who they want to win? They want LeBron to win.
No, of course. I was being stupid. I was being stupid because that was the last time the Lakers and Pacers have obviously played in a meaningful game.
For sure.
So that's what I was bringing up. Also, Reggie on the cast. I know we were trying to sign off to watch this game. It's 5-0 Lakers, but like Reggie on the cast
shout out
for ESPN. Did you see that?
He was. I didn't even realize that.
I think it was like a guest fill-in because like he.
But he's hired by TNT, so I wonder.
Yes.
That's
because
really
I don't think he like crossed. I think it was just like a crossover. Like he was a guest because the way they were speaking about it afterwards was like, "Hey, it was really good for you to for you to be over here as a guest. Like great, Doris. It was great working with you, Mike Breen as well." I actually liked him on ESPN with Doris and with Mike. I think he kind of fit in there.
He did really well with Doris. Like it didn't even occur to me. Like, and I know like he's TNT, but like it didn't even occur to me until you said it. You're right. Yeah, they did fit really well together. I liked Reggie almost a little better with Green and Doris, maybe just because we're not used to hearing it. I think Reggie gets a lot of flack, but I also think there's times where he deserves it. I think there's times where Reggie's like more excited than the person he's calling the game with. But overall, Reggie's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Reggie's better than
and
much.
You can't outdo. I mean, actually, I can't say that. I was like, you can't outdo Mike Breen, but it's really hard to outdo Kevin Harlan too. So like,
Kevin Harlan's great.
Kevin Harlan's great. But I think Reggie in a dual box. So like, if you were to have Reggie, say Candace, and then Kevin Harlan, I think that with him might be better just because it doesn't have him talking as much. So like his points
maybe they're crossing over in this game too, in the TNT game.
We'll see because we're about to tune in.
Well, all right, we're gonna do our third sign off here. Again, catch us on Live Take Saturday, pregame or postgame, maybe both. We'll figure it out. Download the Live Take app. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter if you want to do that too. If you're nasty, either way. This was Kyle and Keenan, the Warner Brothas Podcast. We'll see you later, y'all.